I went to WSU 90, I think it was winter of '94 to visit, check it out when I was a high school student, and at the time WSU had a program where they actually flew the multicultural programs had a program where they actually flew us out on a little Horizon plane to check out the campus. And I remember Joe picked me and my mom up at the airport. I think it was you too.
Yeah.
It was both of you guys.
Yeah.
And so they actually sought us out knowing that there was going to be Filipinos coming on that trip. They actually sought us out. There was a few of us on that trip. And so that's when I first met them. And they were my first introduction. We landed in the middle of snow in the evening. How many of you have been to Pullman before in here? Okay. It's real desolate if you land in the evening in the middle of snow and you've never really been in snow before and you're brown and you're scared. So it was really nice that they picked us up and they kind of sat and talked with me and my mom and some of the other guys that were with us at the time too. But that was my introduction to WSU. And then I ended up deciding to go there for a number of reasons, but that was one of them. The fact that my mom felt comfortable knowing that there were these guys there that were going to look out for me and that actually reached out to us was an important thing. So it wasn't, an elaborate outreach program organized by a department or funded necessarily. It was literally these guys kind of hitching on to a small program that our multicultural programs had offered at the time. But it really meant a lot to my decision. And so when I went to WSU, FASA was pretty new. The Alliance had its first conference in the spring of '95. I started in the fall of '95. And so I got involved in the conference organizing for the spring of '96. And we just figured out in the car, we worked out in the car, '96 was the first year that the Alliance officially formed between the institutions. '95 was the first conference, but '96 was when everybody, the leadership kind of collectively decided that, okay, we're going to be an actual statewide alliance. And we were WSFASA at the time. And it was fun. You asked the question, Free, why did we do this? Why did we start this? And I was joking over email with Robin and with these guys in the car, but I actually think there's definitely something to it. We didn't have Facebook. We didn't have a way to meet each other, to hook up, to go to house parties together. We didn't have a way to get to know each other. So across the states, the way that there are now with social media. And that was our social media at the time. That was, it was, straight networking. I remember I was getting my hot chocolate and remembering the most exciting part of the Alliance conference for us at WSU, for me at least, was at wherever the welcoming was going to be. I think a couple years it was at Chief Joe Community Center, waiting to see all the vans drive in and to see who came from the other colleges and how fun that was. To see everybody arrive and to know, okay, well, UW's fourth van is still coming, and okay, SU's running late, okay, well, they got pulled over, whatever it was. We would send those messages out saying, don't speed through Colfax. So, it was exciting, and it was fun, and there was a lot of meaning behind it, and these guys kind of paint the picture for what was the impetus behind it. And that, of course, is always at the heart, knowing this really deep-seated desire to connect. One of my favorite quotes ever was this guy, Ian Forster, and in the prologue to his book, it was one single line. It just said, "Only connect." And you think about what the human interaction would be if we did not connect with one another. That's such a fundamental desire that we have, to just reach out and connect. No matter how much you think you're a lone wolf, no matter how independent you think you are, we all, deep within ourselves, are born with a desire to connect with one another. And I think that always was there. But of course, the way that gets translated when you're a 19, 20-year-old college student is, okay, who's coming, who's having the house party, okay, around all the things like organizing a conference. But so that was the fun behind it, I think, and that really kept it exciting year to year. We were joking that we organized the first conferences. 96 was the first conference we organized over email, right?
Yeah.
Oh my God. We were doing that. Yeah. We were doing that over at WSU. It was Unix screens. They were black and white email screens. So.
So in order for us to contact like someone at UW, I had to say talk. I had to type out talk.
Yeah.
Or finger.
Yeah.
Which we were all like, why?
Finger.
Finger.
Oh my God.
R.J. De Los Reyes.
Right. And then you had those times.
Oh, there you Hi.
There wasn't this like auto remember an email. You had to type everybody's email manually. But so we, it was our first time organizing over email. But man, once we got email, wow, it blew up from there, because then emails would just get forwarded and forwarded. You mean I had to take out all the little bracket things and whatever, but emails. Then the emails would get forwarded and forwarded and forwarded, and that was the start of sort of the viral development of spreading the word of the Alliance. And man, it was powerful for us to see that an email I sat in the lab and wrote, at 2 a.m. was coming back to me from, and I could see in the forward path all the different people that it had been sent to, and somebody from someplace that we hadn't intended it to go to was emailing back saying, hey, could we bring a group? So that was really powerful for us to be able to see that develop too, and to see it grow in that way. So for me personally, and I'll say a couple of things, but for me personally getting involved, it was really, I realized that was how I learned that I was a leader, through getting involved in FASA and through organizing conferences. That's where I learned some of the most practical and useful skills that I employ in my professional life today, in terms of organizing people, hustling for money, putting budgets together, making decisions about how to market things, making decisions about how to make content meaningful and compelling to people, while also being engaging and enjoyable and fun. And so some of those things, I work in higher ed today, and a lot of that I still use. And a lot of that, it was my first chance to really develop some real skills beyond what I was learning in terms of my English degree and my education degree. It was a chance to actually learn some actual hardcore skills, because we had a little budget that we had to put together. We had to stitch together. The first year it was put together by $400.
$400 we had to hustle from APAS.
Right. So another organization, and then when I started organizing, we started hitting up different departments on campus and raising money from the different colleges on campus. And so I don't remember what, I think our budget eventually grew to about $800 or $900.
Yeah, that was amazing.
Yeah.
Almost $1,000.
Right. So the one thing I want to say is that, Free mentioned he worked hard to try to get some gender balance. The one thing I would say to all of the women in the room is, man the fuck up. And the one criticism I look back on my experience, I went back to speak at a WSU Shaping Conference once, and it's for those that don't know, it's an API outreach program to high school students, and they pulled together a group of us who were all past presidents of FASA, and it was a good-looking group. It was all dudes, and then it was me. And I think the one thing that I'll say is that to the women in the room, these are chances. These are opportunities for you. And maybe it looks different at other colleges, I don't know. But the one thing I do want to say is that these are chances for you to get out there, to build your leadership, to build your strength, to build your voice, and to build your skills. And I would say, I'm a pretty, I fought a lot with people.
Really?
I'm a strong personality, but I wasn't always this way, but but these guys were a safe environment for me to kind of cut my teeth on leadership and to figure out the difference between being bitchy and pushy and being strong and being a leader and being inspiring and being useful to the cause. And so one of the things that I see an opportunity for is for the Filipino women that are here to really look at those as opportunities to really step up and really develop yourselves. You don't necessarily need to go out and do something separate from the group, but look at the things that you can do within the organizations that exist, within these conferences that come up, and really utilize and work those opportunities to really develop those skills, because that meant a lot to me to be able to do that. And so for the men in the room, what I would say is support the women in the room in the ways that you can, and don't feel threatened, because the system and the world is still tilted in your favor in many ways, and there is strength in the humility in recognizing that, and there is not the need to feel threatened either by hearing me say this to the women in the room or by seeing your sisters in the room eventually try to step up and be stronger too. And like I said, maybe I'm only reflecting on my mid to late 90s experience, but my suspicion is things don't change very quickly sometimes, and so my suspicion is that that might still be an issue that some of you might recognize where you're at. But if it isn't, then good, we won. But if it is, then I hope that you'll hear my voice as a reminder and another reason to continue to address it. So just to the question of why we started it and the lessons that we learned, we started it because it was our way to get together and to network in the absence of the type of technology we have today. And what we learned a lot about ourselves, about organizing, about what really worked in terms of motivating other people. Wazoo, when we started out, we sort of were the, how would you describe us? Jeff had to go to UW and yell at people. Sorry, UW.
I didn't yell.
I'm
motivated.
That was before me.
I'm motivated.
No, it was FASA.
Was it FASA at that time?
Yeah, because we went over there trying to recruit and build. Everybody come over to Wazoo and we're going to throw
It's a hard sell.
And then he got on like, this is fun. Wow, he's just really mad. You got to do this for your friends.
Wazoo was passionate.
It was passionate.
We were very passionate.
I think that was the point of it. You know, relating back to that story about, you know, having to, you know, the email, amazingness about that. The first year, it was about calling and talking. And I think when I say something to you, I could read into you, and you talk back to me, we could read into the emotion. I could sense either we're connecting or we're not connecting. And then, you know, one of our other quotes was, when I say something, or when I say I'm going to be there, I won't be there within 2 hours. But then you only got to say it once. You know what? You know, you're going to tell somebody the day before, and you can just say it once, and you're going to be there. You don't have to send texts and emails, blah, blah, blah. When I say something, I mean it. I might be late, but I'll be there. Right? And that, I think that was poignant in sort of the early start of this thing. It's just the connection. It's just sort of, I think, yeah. For me, NWFASA, I had to ride the emotion and the identity of it all. I think that's where our strength was. And
I think that when I said that it was what we learned was how to really connect with people and motivate people, was we had to learn those lessons of how do you engage a group that maybe is, and not to pick on UW because Ian's going to go next, but a group that we perceived as being less about the cause or identity or whatever and more about partying or whatever. That's always going to be a part of college student organizations, but just because of where you're at in your life. But we had to learn how to motivate people to want to be a part of this and to talk to people to want to be a part of this. And those were big lessons for us, I think, because we can be really passionate, but you really got to talk to people in ways that you can engage them and inspire them to and motivate them. So that was important, a really important lesson that we learned. So.
You know, on that tip, when I first arrived at WSU, I was taught one lesson by Big Brother BJ from Mega Phi Mega was keep the social with the political. Never lose the social in the political and vice versa. And it's a fine balance between the two, because if we're not social, then we're socially awkward, right? And so it's like we want to kick it, and that, you know, that's why the alliance was like so live. And I made a really good, so I was able to serve under Rosie's leadership of the Alliance in 97, 98. And I met Jeff and Joe at my first conference in 97, which was the first conference held at Western. But I also met Daps, or Ian, through the Alliance, and as we became alumni, we were actually going back and forth between Oregon and Washington to help expand the Alliance into the Northwest Filipino American Student Alliance. And so, with that.